everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Divine Dabblings
Tarot for today.
with Oberon and Banshee. But you know what, Banshee, I've been thinking, maybe we should change the name to Feline Fortunes because we always have our handy-dandy assistant right here with us.
You know, Sunny is not going to let any other cat up here stealing the limelight, unfortunately.
And
we do have 3.
I don't think we have... There we go. There's the other camera. He has just parked himself here as usual. So whether we need his assistance or whether we don't, he is here.
While we're sitting here setting up and we're shuffling our cards, there he be.
Exactly.
So, an interesting few days, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
And for those of you joining us, our policy now is, our content is fungible. We can do it around our readings. So if anybody at this point in time would like a reading, a free live reading, let us know at any moment in the chat and we'll break from what we're doing and get right to it.
And you should want a reading because we are Oberon and Banshee. We are longtime tarot readers in the Detroit metro area. We've done hundreds, if not possibly thousands of readings for people at various venues over the last nearly 40 years or so. So we give good readings.
And some unusual parties, too, we've done in the past, too, when we've gone to homes and done a party.
Yeah, we do
reading.
Home parties. We've done larger block parties, neighborhood clubs.
Because what I like to do at the home parties is while we're reading for people individually, I bring a whole bag of tricks, or should I say a box of tricks with me that people can do on their own while they're waiting for
haven't we done
us
that?
to prognosticate for them.
Haven't we done that once or twice in a public venue? I thought we did that at Convocation years ago. You brought some devices. That was a long time ago when they were in Troy.
Maybe.
You don't remember that? I
don't remember that one.
It might have been a free-form event.
But there was another event where we were not at somebody's home for big Halloween bash that they had, and we would just lay out our stuff and explain them to people, and people could come experiment. We were not doing readings at that event. We were just showcasing some of the divination tools in our collection.
You're talking about that witch house?
Well,
in Dearborn?
That looks like one anyway. Yeah. It's such an old school Victorian kind of manor. It's really awesome. It has grounds to it. It had other buildings on the site. It was very, very cool.
The owners had various seasonal parties, and they liked the kitschy aspects of Halloween, but they also like to do a nice Christmas holiday. And when you have a beautiful Victorian house like that, and it's old and very well kept, and they had lots of decorations for
oh my goodness,
most
they had
seasons.
A chandelier hanging from this giant tree out in their in their backyard, and if you want to call it a backyard, it was like a little
An
farmstead, I guess.
Mini orchard.
It was just awesome, I have to say. So at any rate, we've killed enough time there, I think.
Have we? Okay.
Hopefully people have come to join us. If you want to just let us know you're here in the chat, feel free to just say hi. Appreciate knowing you're here. And I think we want to get into talking a little bit about some of our readings from last week, the Tarot for Tomorrow we did.
We're going to do the review, yes.
We're going to do the review, and I'm going to interject something in between there. I think we have something to discuss from a reading we did on our last live stream on Thursday. But we'll get to that.
Right. Well, we will be starting with the fact that on Thursday's live stream, right at the end, we did pull, and then later on we also elaborated perhaps slightly on Friday's card, which was the Seven of Pentacles upright. And did you want to share what you said about that?
Well, with the Seven of Pentacles upright, I thought it was talking about you getting your ducks in a row. It was Friday after all, and we're all looking forward to the weekend, but sometimes you don't want to leave things hanging at work or on the job, or in your mundane areas of your life. Maybe there's some important business you had to take care of, before the weekend set in. You just want to make sure all your ducks were in a row and you didn't have anything to worry about. No fuss, no muss. You could start the week, the next Monday with a clean slate of a lot of crap to do.
Well, that
Your
was
job is like mine.
that was kind of like what I said. I had sort of said that there was a time of a pause or moment of reflection, and that maybe you were summing up. You know, I really thought this pertained more to the workplace environment in sorts. You know, no matter what you do, even if you work at home, that you were kind of summing up. You know, what had happened during the week, what were your projects you worked at, and maybe you were really looking at what was the work that was left undone, and whether or not you would be trying to align that for priorities or whatever on Monday when the next work week began. So moving on from there, then we had the reading Friday night, which was for Saturday. So Saturday's card was the Eight of Swords reversed.
We kind of went on a little different tangents on that one. Why don't you start with yours on that one?
Yeah, and it could be because of the actual deck I used. I used Paul Hewson's Fortune or Dame Fortune deck, which sort of has some similarities to some of the more medieval or 17th, 18th century style decks, Marseille, something like that. And so that card being reversed to me, what I got from it was that there was some sort of sense of being chagrined or humbled. What you learned was at that cost, and it felt like maybe you wanted to make amends, but there were feelings you had that really conflicted with that. You sort of felt you were wrong, you sort of felt you were right, but still, nonetheless, the progress you made was not really. I don't know. What did you think about that one?
Well, we diverged a bit because I thought it could indicate maybe a just little minor breakthrough, baby steps to moving in the right direction. I just felt that maybe, you finally took the blinders off a little bit in some area of your life and you were able to break free from some things that were restricting you, maybe holding you back in some way. So, but it was just maybe a minor victory. I don't think it's really huge myself. So,
And
that's
felt
all I
that
have
way
to say
too,
about that.
there
And
was.
this might tie into what I want to talk about with the reading
Okay.
we had on Thursday. But
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, not yet. We have to go through
Well,
the next one.
the sense of humility learned at a cost is the idea that there is some release here, but there still was this sense of humility or being humbled there.
Okay.
And I just felt that specifically, that although there was a release or a sense of being able to move in some direction now, you're still carrying with you the sense of a lesson you're trying to learn or still trying to learn.
Okay, that might tie in too. So going to today, it's a little bit early to talk about, but I guess just to refresh you, we picked the star.
That is correct.
And the star was upright. Woohoo. And so to me, that kind of indicated, being maybe in some way you were going to step into the limelight, be the star of your own show, like we are here today. Something that might bring you some hope. Maybe some of your aspirations and dreams. You can almost see the light at the end of the tunnel. We've had some pretty heavy cards of late, so I think this one is just showing, there is hope. Do not despair. Things are coming around again.
And if I
the wheel
recall
is
right,
turning. Sorry.
if I recall right, what I kind of felt there was that I saw something here a little bit larger on the world stage of sorts too, and that maybe there was going to be something new that happened today, some information or somebody's being able to say something that also helped make people renew their idea that there is a plan that we can help with and figure out how to change things or make it better.
And that was our previous tarot for today's. And on our next live stream Thursday, we will talk about the upcoming, the cards that have appeared from Monday to Thursday, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
because we'll be doing the Thursday card on Wednesday, so we'll be able to include that too. So that will be a discussion of the cards pulled for Monday through Thursday, and that'll be on our live chat next
Right.
Thursday, which is Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. So
Yes,
we
thank
hope you'll
you
join us.
for that. We do hope you join us. And I did want to mention, interestingly enough, about those cards that we drew. On Thursday, we did one of our fantasy forecasts, and this one was about climate change. And, well, in a way, it was about what was going on in the Amazon rainforest with the fires. And now that I'm thinking about it, some of the cards we pulled for Tarot for Tomorrow kind of fits into that reading a little bit, wouldn't you say? For example, Saturday, we had, it was that Eight of Swords, right? Reversed. Yes, the
I'm a little
blinders off.
distracted because
Okay.
apparently Sunny the cat knocked my tablet offline,
Oh
which I was
no,
using
technical
to
difficulties.
monitor the chat room. So let me go ahead and just.
Oh yeah, sure. So we had the card, the Eight of Swords, for everybody, and it was reversed. And I mentioned it might be a minor breakthrough, a little step towards victory. And I believe it was on Saturday that the president of Brazil recommended, sent his troops out, gave the order to send the troops out to help fight the fires, which he was not willing so much to do. And so, what else did we hear in the news today that relates to this? I'll answer that. I'm just hypothetically asking my partner here. But basically, we heard in the news today that protesters in Brazil and in Europe, around the world, had an influence on this decision. And I believe one of the cards that we drew in that reading indicated, at least I think it was my interpretation, that said it was going to take like a lot of people working together to solve this problem. They had to get help. I was thinking in terms of getting help from other countries to help fight the fires, but maybe it was talking about the protesters all getting out there in his face a little bit, so he felt he had no choice. And whether this is a big step or not remains to be seen. It might be a token gesture that he's putting out there, sending the troops out there. Is he really serious about fighting these fires, or does more action need to be done? So anyway, for those of you who missed that, we're hoping to maybe cut out that reading and post it as a video soon on our Facebook page, so that you can see this for yourself and understand why I'm bringing this up today, because I do think those cards kind of fit, because the star is a card of hope, and maybe things will start getting better.
Let's all hope so.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
All right, so I think we have something next on our agenda for everybody.
Oh, and I don't have my
Don't. Well, I could see.
time.
Maybe we could enlist our producer to get it for us. It would be very nice if you could get Oberon Special Meditative Tool.
I'll take.
This way.
I'll take one of those baubles over there too.
We're going to owe him for this one.
There's
you need a
more
bauble? You mean like that black ball over there?
Yeah, maybe the black ball.
All right.
That thing. There's probably
thank you.
more pizza. I got a milk.
Oh, he
bone.
brought the cat too, the cat head, in case you would
Aw.
like it. And he doesn't have to get up again.
As producers go,
Thank you, Mr.
this
Producer.
one is most excellent, and really puts up with a lot from us.
Yes,
so
and
we
is hoping
appreciate
to
that very much.
guide us so that we can fly on our own really soon. Fly
I'm sure
live.
it's in everyone's interest.
So, there goes our cat, ready for his tummy rub.
Okay. Well, that
And
would be a perfect way to calm
Segue
down.
into the meditation.
Our kitty is calm, and so are you. Hail, Bast.
So,
Hail,
Oberon is going to do our
Master
meditation
Kitty.
today. And what card are we on today, Mr.
Today
O?
we are up to the Emperor, which is Major Arcana 4.
Very
And,
good.
I'm not going to say too much about that, but in a way, the Emperor is sort of the corollary to the Empress, the last one we did, but epitomizing more of the masculine aspects, whereas the Empress sort of emphasized more feminine aspects. Though we have to remember that, certain attitudes, nurturing versus aggressiveness, those are not really gender defined, or they should not be. That men or women are equally capable of having traits that are possibly in our society associated with the others. So, at any rate, we're talking about the Emperor today.
Oh, there's one thing I should mention. Even though we agreed to do card readings at any time, I think when we conduct the meditation, we won't be able to be watching our chat. So, because we'll be
You may have to
involved in
just
that.
hopefully be patient,
And
and
wait
we'll
till
be out of
after
that. This will only be a few moments.
Yes.
Now, as you remember, I've abbreviated the meditation a little bit, so in between the chimes that I'm about to do, I'll instruct you to breathe deep and to think or say in your mind your secret word, and this word is either your secret or magical kind of name for yourself, or maybe it's a phrase that connotes to you the idea that you are entering into more of your subconscious. So we're just going to do that mentally. So relax now. Take a moment to breathe deeply and calm or still your mind, and close your eyes perhaps. And as you hear the tone, continue to relax and breathe more, and feel yourself descending downward, downward into your subconscious. And you are moving into a deeper place where meanings become more resonant, and where you can feel things and ponder or think about their actual meaning at a deeper, more deliberate level. And now we have arrived at that level of subconsciousness. And so we are about to think of the images that I will be talking about. And as I said, we are talking about the Emperor. The Emperor is the fourth card in the major arcana. It's primarily ruled by Jupiter, to some degree at least. And Jupiter involves mastery. There's oftentimes a particular association with material goods and prosperity. So I want you to think of those qualities. And so we're approaching an area where this will happen. And we will talk about the Emperor, who is mastery and willpower. Yes, as soon as we're done with this brief meditation, we will give you the reading. Thank you for writing. There's a great throne in the middle of this area that we're in, and it's golden, and it shines with a great light. And there are symbols of power and mastery all around. There are some spears, rods with crystals, staffs of various sorts. And as we go there, we see the Emperor seated upon his throne. He looks at us all, and he tells us that mastery and willpower are within ourselves at every level, but sometimes we have to figure out what is that other part of us that holds us back. So he asks us each to look within ourselves and ponder that for a moment. And then when you think you know that answer, come forward to the Emperor, and he will either confirm or tell you what it is you need to work on. So as we step forward, we kneel in front of the Emperor, and he bends low to whisper in our ears and tell us, are we on our right path? Are we exerting our willpower? Are we achieving our goals of mastery? Are there other things that are obstacles that we are not aware of? Are there things we can do to clear those obstacles? Take a quick moment now to think about that. The Emperor is willing to let you find the answer yourself. Because when you do that, you take a step closer to becoming your own emperor, your own captain of your fate or destiny. So absorb that for a moment. And now we can stand, turn to walk away, raise our hands in one brief farewell to the Emperor as we walk back to the place where we will ascend back to consciousness and leave this meditation. So I want us to do that as I intone. We'll take a couple of breaths and feel ourselves moving upward, remembering everything we learned here today, remembering how we can come back ourselves. We feel more awake, more open, more vibrant, almost awake, almost back to the surface of our consciousness. And at last, we are back to our surface thoughts. So take a quick breath 2 or 3 times. If your eyes were closed, open them again. Feel your connection to the earth by how you sit in the chair, how you feel it. Take a moment to consider that material feeling. Breathe normally, and you are back with us now. And first of all, I'd like to thank Angela for waiting. I hope you're still with us. We would absolutely like to do a brief reading for you.
Absolutely. Do you have any particular question or area of your life in mind, or do you just want a general reading?
While you think about that, we'll shuffle the cards. Try not to knock the table, as the producer will
Our
indicate.
feline friend here is hogging the stage once more.
Okay, we'll probably just go with a brief general reading, like maybe 3 cards, something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But do you have any specific area in mind, Angela? Okay, we're going to read for you, hoping you're still there. The first card I'm going to pull is like the recent past, maybe this past week or two.
And that card is the Magician reversed.
Perhaps in some area of your life you've been feeling out of sorts. You've been feeling maybe unprepared for something that was thrown at you or came your way, either mentally, spiritually, physically unprepared. Maybe you just didn't recognize the fact that you had what it takes to persevere through whatever this issue is, but it looks to me as though you didn't feel prepared. It took you by surprise.
I'm also possibly feeling that, but I'm also feeling the sense that there is maybe an external that is working with controlling you, and that maybe right now you may also be in a situation where you feel you don't have a control over that situation, but somebody else does.
Oh.
And that may be bothering you, or that may be a conflict that you're trying to deal with. But once again, this is the recent past, so this may be something that still is happening, or it's something that you might possibly be able to find no longer important. You may be moving away from that.
It could be leading to the present situation, and interestingly enough, it's the Page of Pentacles, which to me, the Page of Pentacles is a student, possibly even a scholar, somebody who learns their lessons well. So this may have taken you by surprise, but it seems to me that you're learning something from this whole experience, and you are taking in that lesson and ready to move forward. And I would say this is talking about the present to maybe the next week or two ahead.
Okay, for me, I always feel a little bit of a sense of kinship between the Magician and the Page of Pentacles. I'm not sure why. I sort of feel like they're the same person, but maybe at different stages of development, and that maybe the Page of Pentacles is the person who becomes the Magician because they sort of exemplify similar qualities when they're both well aspected. So to me, I agree with the Banshee here on that, but I also feel too that there's a sense that you have to keep on keeping on despite whatever's going on that I felt in that first situation, somebody trying to have more control over you. Your best bet is probably not to be overly demonstrative, like, for example, just really trying
Oh,
to
she just
engage or
got
have a
back. I
fight.
just saw that. That's okay, Angela. We weren't sure if there was anything specific, so we're doing a general reading for you. But
We'll
if
go
you,
over the cards again then.
yes, and we're going to go over the cards again. And if you do have a more specific question, we'll be happy to do that as well. But for now, let's recap.
We had decided to do a general 3-card reading for you, and so the first card we pulled was the Magician
Reversed.
reversed. And so what I thought that indicated was that there's an external in your life who's trying to have more control over you or a particular situation where you're both involved in. So an example could be, it might be a bossy coworker or office manager, or it might be somebody you interact with who is trying to control what or how you do things. Maybe they tell you you're doing it wrong and you have to do it their way. Banshee had a slightly different feeling.
Right, and you can see if this all relates to your question, or we'll do another reading after this, Angela, relating specifically to that. But at any rate, you might see some corollaries in what we have to say here. With the Magician card, I felt that maybe something really unexpected happened that you weren't prepared for in some way, whether it was emotionally, physically, spiritually. And so that was within this last week or two, I'm getting. And because this is kind of, I consider a recent past influence card, the Magician reversed. And so that led to the Page of Pentacles, right?
Right, and we're going to answer your specific question after we do this general reading.
But like
too,
I
so
said,
hang on.
this may end up relating to that
It
as
may.
well. We'll see.
It often happens in our line of work.
Yep.
And so the card that is more about the present right now is the Page of Pentacles. And what I was saying before too was that I sort of feel the Page of Pentacles is similar to the Magician, like maybe they're the same person but at different points in time. One's a younger version of the other one. And so I sort of felt that what this meant in relationship to that first card was you have to keep going on in the ways you can to persevere if there's this situation of somebody trying to control you or control a situation with you. But I'm sort of thinking you need to do that in a more quiet way, not like you're hiding or trying to hide it or being sneaky, but just being yourself without trying to be overly demonstrative. That was the word I used. That you're not trying to necessarily show them up or irritate or aggravate them any further if that's a possibility of happening.
I also feel that this card indicates to me that whatever happened here that you were unprepared for with the Magician, the Page of Pentacles indicates to me that you have learned lessons from that
Yeah,
experience.
that's a really strong point.
You've taken in something here, and you're trying to process it actually to move forward in a positive direction, more growthful direction, maybe steer the situation in a more positive direction. And now let's go to, and this is about from now to the next week or two. So now let's go and take a look at what the outcome might be of this situation.
Okay, this is the future card prognosis here, and it's a Knight of Cups reversed. I'm going to go ahead first with that. A lot of times I feel that the Knight of Cups could show that there may be a change in a relationship, that maybe if somebody was being too forceful in the relationship, and I am thinking it is possibly a romantic relationship, that maybe is damaged the way people are feeling about it, that maybe somebody is rushing too quickly and somebody else doesn't want that movement to be that strong.
Read her last thing, because if that doesn't match the nine or the Knight of Cups reversed, because the Knight of Cups reversed is a card that that shows somebody who's maybe allows his emotions to rule his head, and so he could get involved in my opinion, he could be somebody who gets involved in, other women, external affairs, etc., like that. May not be totally reliable. Yeah, especially somebody you can emotionally rely upon, would you say?
Well, are you talking about this card?
No, I'm talking about this card.
That's what I thought.
The Knight of Cups. You held that up, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
To me, it wasn't a given that this person was necessarily younger than you, but I can sort of see that because there's a sense of immaturity represented by the actions on this card.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, something else. though?
No, I
No.
was just letting you go.
So I feel that maybe that person is more forceful or more impatient right now. And I guess I'm also thinking about the question you asked, because you mentioned another person's name, Marcus.
Right.
So that's our specific question. We're going to ask about that. And I think you said their intentions. So Marcus is a different person from Tyrone.
Yes, that's correct. I think we must have picked up Tyrone in this reading. That's my feeling about it.
Okay, there is something there.
And what I'd like to do is maybe we could do a spread specifically for you relating to Marcus. I think I'm going to, yes, thank you. I'm going to make this a 4
So
card.
I guess you're wondering if maybe you're going to see Marcus again, or what his intentions are, and you have another person who maybe is interesting, or at least has some sort of dialogue with you now. So is that how we can kind of frame the reading?
She's really interested in Marcus. Marcus is older.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see.
Well,
what
when
we
it comes
get
to
here.
matters of the heart, sometimes, not always, but sometimes age differences are irrelevant, especially more these days,
can
perhaps.
shuffle. And cut them again.
So we are shuffling the cards. And remember, if you like us, recommend us to other people to drop in. We're on Facebook. Our Facebook, you can Facebook look for us at TFT Tarot for Today. We're also on Twitter under a similar regard. Okay, I'm going to cut.
Yep.
That's not a lot older than you.
All right. I'm going to draw 2 cards to represent the person we're reading for, and then we'll draw a card for Marcus, and then another card for each of them, and then an outcome card here. Okay. So this card, the first card I'm going to flip over, is representing you right now and your attitudes in this potential for relationship with Marcus. And I drew the 2 of Wands upright. You really feel this is a good thing for you.
You have more invested with Marcus.
Yeah.
And you also feel like
Absolutely.
you can wait. That
Well-
time is not necessarily a big obstacle. Or if you don't feel that you can wait, you also feel perhaps,
Oh, but they've been together, dealing with each other for 4 to 5 years now. Okay.
okay,
So time might be, you might be wondering about that time element there.
but you still sort of have a feeling that time is on your side, though, on some level, that you have an investment there, that you're seeing yourself wondering if it's just a matter of time or if it is longer, I
She
guess.
says, yes, I do. And this is very positive. Obviously, you have a lot of positive feelings for this relationship. This is something you would like to see grow and develop, because 2s, of course, whether it's 2s of cups or pentacles or whatever, is about coupling in a way.
They're always about some sort of union and or the harmony within it.
Now let's draw the Marcus card, and
Okay,
let's
so this
see what
card
we have.
represents Marcus. Okay, so this is not a great card. This is the Tower reversed, and
I want to ask you, has Marcus been through a lot of stuff? Has he been through some breakups in his life of some sort?
or a big upheaval, something that he really needed or needs to learn from.
He has.
Yeah, and that there's a sense here too that whatever this thing was, it really dashed him in a lot of ways, and that the recovery is
Karma.
slow and needs time to be that recovery. And maybe that indicates why there's been 4 or 5 years going on. He's really kind of karma.
He's still processing. He has some things to work through, and whether he's actually learned those lessons in the manner he needs to, that remains to be seen, I think.
I always feel that to some degree, when it's reversed, the tower represents that there was a turning point and that there is movement towards some sort of resolvement or enlightenment, or at least acknowledging that there was something that they had to learn. So I'm hoping that happens too, or that it did happen. Are we going to move to the next card?
Yeah, I'm looking at this card as a possible future card together if you were to actually, get more serious with Marcus.
Okay, I'm going to let you go first on that one.
Oh, thanks. Give me the hard ones.
It is a harder one.
Well, it is a little bit. It's the Queen of Wands reversed, and I do think this is going to be, on you a little bit here. You have to be very cautious here of not being too domineering in this relationship, forceful to make this relationship happen. I think that you're going to have to watch.
The Queen of
And
Wands.
there is a potential here that there are some things that could get under your skin over time a little
Did
bit
you
about
see what
Marcus.
she wrote?
Well, I did not.
Yeah, she left us a couple lines
Okay.
there.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
actually wondering if maybe that card represents the possibility that they did break up.
Well, but this is her card here,
That's
so I'm
true.
not sure about that one yet. When we look at Marcus's card in a minute, we'll look at that. Maybe there is something there. But the only other thing I can sense here is that if this is another woman that you are looking at that's in the way between you getting a relationship with Marcus, this person you feel is not good for him. Maybe that he's being dominated by her and in a very negative direction.
Well, and to me, it's clear that there's whether acknowledged or not, some sort of animosity between you and that person, or the thought of that person, and it could be because you know more about what's going on really in the relationship.
And what about his card there?
So this is representing him.
Yes, if
His
he was,
outcome?
Well, it's more about
A possibility.
what his views of a relationship with you would be like. Well,
Okay,
that's not a bad card.
Was Marcus married before, and did it not end well? I'm wondering if he has fear of being in a marriage because maybe he's had problems with marriages before. It's just a feeling I got when I picked up this card, the Four of Wands reversed. So you don't have to tell us if you don't want to, but
No, he wasn't.
okay.
Okay. There's something that might be holding him back then in some way from, making a more firm commitment. I don't know if the person he's with now was very serious with. Maybe the issue is he has a problem with commitment.
Well, and maybe part of that too is that if it wasn't his own marriage that he disliked how it ended, maybe he's seen other marriages. Maybe he comes from a home where other relationships broke up and those had impacts on him, or he knows of other people in his life where, he saw that kind of thing. That's what I felt there. I don't know if it's the only answer there. It could just be that in general, he has an iffiness about it in general.
He does have a problem with commitment, Angela says. So that's very possibly
is-
what that is, because that could be like a marriage that doesn't happen, but also it could just indicate that this still needs more time if it's going to play out. He's not somebody who's going to be easy to.
Right, and that's mostly because of the tower reversed. I think he's still going through some of that stuff there. Oh, well, this is better, maybe.
The outcome, the resolution of all of this, to me, it's interesting because that was his meditation today, is the Emperor card. And we're using the Emperor from a different deck. So, this is a different deck than he used for his meditation.
Right.
So,
But sometimes they say
they're the
two
same.
emperors are better than one. I don't know. No,
they are the
probably
same,
not.
but we used a different deck. So it didn't just pop up. It popped up for a reason. And what it says to me, possibly is this could be a very powerful match. I think that, but also it could indicate that the two of you might be jockeying for a little bit of control in this relationship.
Well, I think too that the emperor also represents maybe the relationship that a ruler has with the ruled, and that it should be benevolent. There's the whole thing about the American people, give consent to be governed by our politicians. And maybe this card is saying to me, because I sense, of course, through our communication with you, that you pretty much have a strong sense of self and where you want to go. And I say that this card represents that the best outcome is if you are able to achieve a partnership with Marcus and really work together, and that each of you are governed but also govern each other, and that it's a good partnership. And of course, that sounds a little pie in the sky.
So are you saying like a balance of power?
A balance of power.
In the relationship, which I like that. That does make a sense to me.
Well, you both have those kind
Oh,
of
my
signs
goodness.
that would express themselves that way. And we know that because we sort of have that between ourselves too.
Well, he is water and I am fire, but
I'm a Scorpio. I'm ruled by Mars,
Right.
but that's also her ruling planet too. So, and that Mars is a lot of friction. So, Leos are mostly wonderful people. Some of my best friends have been Leo, but sometimes they do have some possibilities about being a little selfish. So it's hard for them necessarily to give in when they really feel they're right about something. And maybe everybody has a little bit of Leo in them sometimes in that regard too. Aries just mostly like to be first in everything.
we
or
like to
feel
be first.
they
Number
like to be
one.
first. They're pioneers, and so maybe
Yes.
that's Malcolm or Marcus maybe that he feels he's first, and
Well,
you're
no,
his
well,
match in a way. You
I
are
think
his
with
match.
Leos, it's more about being in the limelight and letting them get their credit for stuff. Whereas Aries, we want to be the first at everything. So if you allow him to get the limelight, but you realize you were the trailblazer, I think it could all work out. Aries and Leos is actually a very powerful union, and I think a positive one. It's fire energy together that works. Sometimes they don't mix, and I think in the Aries Leo case, it's a pretty good combination.
Do we want to make a summation about the reading here?
Well, I think there's definitely work to be done, Angela, and I think it's mostly on Marcus's end, but if you're not stating your intentions clearly enough to him, I don't know how you feel about it, but if you feel he is free from his other relationship, maybe you should be that trailblazer to move in, if the time is right. What do you say?
I can't really say too much more than that. I mean, I think that he is the one, as you say, that still has some work, some things to process. But I think that if you can get over some of that and learn where your boundaries are, where your limitations and strengths to be that partnership, I think it would go far. I
How to
think you
work with
could
that
work out with
energy.
him. You've managed to stick around in the environment for 4 to 5 years. So that shows you're serious, and just the fact that somehow he's somewhere still there, says that too. But it
But
it
again,
needs
you
to be
have your
realized.
limits, and
Yeah.
if Marcus is just never going to be ready, you just have to kind of know when to throw in the towel. Right now, I am not seeing that you should throw in the towel per se on this relationship, but you may have to come to that point in the future.
Here and now, it's still something that could work out.
So I hope that's given you some advice and help in the matter, and look forward to talking to you again, Angela.
Really
So
appreciate
stick
you being
with
with us this afternoon. I hope you got something out of it too. Thank you.
Yeah, and we also do daily readings on our Facebook page, so there is that. There's going to be more ahead with us for sure. This is just the beginning. We're at the bare beginnings, barely a month into our live streaming, and
This
we
is
have more
actually
content
our
and fun
seventh show
planned.
today. This is
Yeah.
our seventh show. So
So-
next Thursday will be pretty much 4 weeks straight.
Woohoo! I guess I'll have to get my party hat out again, my tarot party hat.
So we should move on to
Yeah.
my reading.
It's your reading today.
Yes.
We're doing now, Angela, if you want to stick around, we're doing a reading for the next week.
This is for the entire audience who's ever watching us, and it is
More general
to
reading.
last for a week from now until next Sunday when I'll read this again. On Thursdays, Banshee does her own reading for the week, and it's a little different from mine. Mine is a 3-card reading, and I talk about the spiritual, mental, and physical aspects of what's going on for the next 7 days or so. And it serves as a gauge or barometer for the audience to consider events or feelings or things going on in these aspects of their life. So I'm going to let Banshee also shuffle the cards. Right. You're welcome. We appreciate you being here with us today. Thank you. I think we give off some sort of deeper meditative vibes when we do our readings and stuff, because every time Sonny's up here recently, he just sort of falls out and he's not active at all. He's just sort of meditating on his own.
He's truly our companion cat, but they all are. They follow us around everywhere.
You're supposed to cut him.
Oh.
Go ahead and cut him and I'll just read anyway.
Well, I'll just, pick him up in my inimitable fashion.
Okay, so the first one is going to govern the spiritual area of our lives for about the next week. And I have turned over the Ace of Wands, reversed. And this one says spiritually, there's a sense here that some spiritual beginning in your life that maybe had some aspects of growth are going to have delays or not exactly work out the way you thought. And I'm sensing that those of us who maybe have thought about a new approach to life, a new approach to spirituality, they may feel it didn't work or it isn't working for them. It could also maybe feel, too, that some of us are just going to question spiritual things and qualities in our lives. It's really hard for a lot of us to feel that there is some divine role in our lives when we see our world not growing, but actually having inhibitions from growing, and that could be said to be a possibility with the Ace of Wands, that it's not a forest blooming, a tree blooming, it's actually quite the opposite. And we see that right now down in the Amazon. So it could also be very likely that people are going to feel some diminishment in their spiritual life because of wondering, where is the divine? Where is the miracle that we need now?
Well, I'm going to go with it and say that since this is in the realm of spirit, the Ace of Wands reversed, I think on a spiritual level, you're going to need to come to terms with your reactions and your motivations towards, when things fail in your life, when plans fail, when the expected growth of things that you were expecting to flourish in your life do not amount to anything. And what does that do to you, and what does that mean to you, and how do you move on from there, and how do you manage yourself from there, and how does that make you feel on a spiritual level? Do you abandon do you abandon your spirituality, feeling all is lost? You throw yourself into pits of despair? This is really where you need to come to terms with things on a spiritual level in your life.
Yes, it's
yes.
It's
what I said.
yes to what you said, but in general, like with what I said and what you said,
I liked what you said. Absolutely, I think it fits.
It's a pause in a way. If it's not a delay, it's at least a pause. It's a time for
Reflection.
some amount of reflection.
Reflection, because growth can't happen at the moment. Yeah.
So the next card, what did we say? Spiritual, mental?
It's, the mental.
So this is going to cover our
no, actually, I'm sorry. Well, you did spiritual. Actually, it was supposed to. So it's the mental.
It is the mental. Okay.
It is. Sorry.
Don't go mental on me.
Go mental on you.
And for that card, that position, I pulled the Seven of Pentacles upright. He's getting to be like an old friend. I think he's shown up once or twice before in different readings. So this,
Oh,
you said
yeah.
this was in the mental, right?
Yes, it is. It's worries.
It's worries. We're thinking about things, and we're sort of a little bit shell shocked, or we're a little bit indecisive. It's not really just being lazy, but it could be a laziness that's born out of some small amounts of fear, as we
Hmm.
say. That's something that is bothering us on the mental level, that we are wrestling with situations or problems, and we don't see how we can move them forward. We sort of feel we're at an impasse. We either don't have the information we need, or we don't feel we have the resources we need.
I feel like also that maybe this is more indicative of the fact that you might feel at a loss for things. You're worried and you're wondering, what more could I have done in this situation? I thought I did everything I could. I thought I I worked my butt off if it's about work, or I've worked hard to maintain this relationship. What more can I do? And you're just worried that what you have done is not quite enough. These may just be worries on your part. They may not hold a basis in reality. And again, it could have tie into the spiritual card in that it may be about your fears or how in the spirit realm you handle failure in your life. And so you're worried that even despite your best efforts, that things will not come to fruition.
That's a really interesting point, because it could also be too that sometimes this fear is a blocking agent, and that you know you need to finish blah blah project, or you need to do blah blah thing to move something else along, but yet you're inhibited somehow, you're holding back, and you could cause a problem by doing that. So you have to kind of figure out where you need to break with that mentally, and to move to a point of decision. The first card
Yeah.
was also about beginning something too, and how you felt maybe stifled there. And the second card sort of anticipates that, but says that mentally you should be able to try to be more logical and think your way through it. So that's what you need to possibly think about.
Okay, and now this card is the physical. Oh, that's very nice.
That's a nice card to end on. It's the Ten of Pentacles, and it's in an upright position. And to me, this card could be saying that from that physical sense of the week or so, there is strength, and there is somebody behind you, somebody backing you up. There's a sense that somebody has your back. There's a sense that if you fall down, somebody will help you get up. If you need a loan of money, somebody will be able to help you with that. Those kind of things.
Well, and if you were expecting some financial backing in a particular situation, related to maybe the seven here of Pentacles, there is definitely going to be some financial backing. There's also possibly family help, and support in some area of your
It could
life.
just be saying too that maybe the emphasis of the next week or so is on the family, not necessarily because you need their help, but that just because they are there for you, and that they're just going to let you know that, and you're just going to feel embraced by your sense of family because you need it at this time.
Do we want to take this on a slightly more global level?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Like, for example, here with the Ace of Wands reversed in the spirit realm, I wonder if that's not relating maybe in some way to the G7 that's going on. You know,
Well, there certainly seems to be a monkey wrench or two that are slowing things down, or making things seem like they're not viable enough, or they're not moving,
there
they're
seems to be a
delayed.
lot of tensions, and this is not just talking about the protests outside of the G7, but between the world leaders at the G7. And it may be that not a lot of progress is going to come out of that meeting. It looks like to me, on a spiritual level anyway, I think some of the participants there might be feeling like this is not going to be productive. And then on a mental level, we have the this one again, there's worries. There's huge worries, and it looks like the worries are economic, I would say.
Right, and
It
we
is the
saw a very
G7.
recent large drop in the Dow, and that there have been some other indicators. I'm not totally up on all this, but I know that people have said there's some indicators that maybe the economy is moving towards recession, or that maybe there are some things going on that are not as fruitful. There's different concerns because of the roles of tariffs that are going on internationally with different
Right.
countries and how that might affect the futures speculation or how it actually affects production, things like that.
And I'm sure that's a major topic at the G7 too. And so then this final card, the physical card, is interesting because, of course, it is all about money with these world leaders. But it's also, it looks to me as though maybe there might be some
A sense
agreements
of solidarity.
and solidarity on what would look to me some key financial or material issues. I don't want to think it's climate change, of course, because it seems like there's lots of disagreement on that one, but it could be more on the economic level.
I like the sense of the world coming together. Like, why can't we all get along? Okay, that's all. If you want to read some snarky comment into that, you're welcome to.
So to recap, it looks as though for people in the week ahead, we have to deal with our feelings, not feelings, deep down our spirit and how we handle, how we're able to manage defeat or failure in our life. And on the mental level, we have a lot of worries and fears going on that may or may not be founded. It just may be all in your head because it seems to me that you've put in a lot of effort and work into some particular situation. And so don't worry, try to be calmer. I won't say be happy, but that card might say be happy because.
But at a basic level, at some sort of root level, there is consensus or there is sort of some bond.
Yeah.
Something there.
And some support. Let's say support as well, because I think that's indicated with the Ten of
Well, we are
Cups.
literally at the end of our first hour, so we're about to begin our second hour. And of course, we welcome people to drop a line and read to us again or ask us questions again, and we'll read to them. We didn't quite have enough time because we kind of got carried away there. And it
Yeah,
was
we
pretty
could do
good.
that some other time. We may have time in this hour to do it.
Yeah, we can always do that, but we didn't have our debate, and I don't remember what we were going to do. We were going to have the debate
We were gonna
about
have a
other
discussion.
uses. Yes.
But you know what? We'll see how it goes. We do have a discussion planned either for this live stream or the next one, where we'll be introducing some concepts and other uses for the tarot that might interest our viewers. Also, we have the question deck. When we do some of these things that are more, how should I say, like the fantasy forecasts or the question deck and maybe some of our other activities, if you are a tarot reader yourself and you ever want to chime in on a card in a
We would
possible
love that.
meeting or association, we would love to generate some dialogue and discussion about some of these games and activities that we're going to be doing.
Despite the fact that I seem to always be right, I'm not really always right. And therefore, why not have some dialogue where maybe,
Why
I
not
can
have some contrary opinion?
contrary opinions. Don't let me be the only one giving the contrarian opinions.
Sunny is relaxing and now facing the camera, which is nice.
But hiding behind his paws.
Yes.
He gives
Is his
paws.
paw
He gives
show?
us
No,
paws.
it's not.
No.
He's hiding his poodle paw, as I
His
call it.
poodle paw.
When he was at the hospital the other week, they shaved his paw for an IV, and so he's got
They
poodle
just shaved
paw.
actually like around the ankle, where his ankle would be.
Yeah.
So he looks kind of different.
He looks kind of different, but he's back to normal. We're so happy. So, at any rate, we're going to do you want to do some question deck?
Yeah, I
And
think that's
I've
what
been
we're
making a
gonna
mistake with the question deck, I have to say.
do. You have.
Well, it's minor, but I think we're going to scatter this out in a pile. That's what we usually do. If you want to shuffle them a little bit while I get my deck, that's fine. We've been pulling from the middle and stuff, so sometimes I've been pulling the same cards. And that's okay because you can never answer the same card twice with this deck. You'll always find a different answer. So I think we're just going to pull from the top and I'll keep putting it from underneath. So if we do get the same question again, let's just see how we answer it this time. And we'll just keep going till we get to the end. Now the question deck is basically that. It's questions that I've come up with, very general kind of questions, and we're going to see how the tarot, how the images on the tarot card or our intuition pulling the card would answer those questions. So if anybody from the audience also wants to give their impression once we hold up the card, please do. And the first question for us today is...
What are the voices in your head telling you?
This is going to be a fun one. I like these kind of questions. All right. Let's draw the card. Do you want to draw your own card for your own voices in your head? Okay.
Yes, no. I get to have more than one voice, right?
Maybe.
Maybe.
All right. Well, I should know this. Yes. The voices in my head, the Empress, are trying to tell me that it's time to create. It's time to create and share your creations to the world so that you can nourish others with your creative projects and ideas. And since I'm a writer and a poet, and it's really interesting that this came up right now with this random question, because the bottom line to me is that I just started doing that. I started sharing some of the poems and haiku that I wrote about the tarot years ago on our Facebook page. So how funny is that this randomly has come up?
What are the voices in my head telling me? We just get the same cards over and over.
How'd that happen?
I don't know, but we got the Ten of Pentacles again.
Interesting.
And the voices in my head are saying, family, we are family. Well, I'm supposed to call my mom later, so I will hopefully remember to do that.
Well, another card I'm thinking of with that for you is that maybe an ancestor is trying to contact you.
So it's great grandma's voice in my head, maybe. That could be. Who knows?
Maybe not that distant an ancestor. It could just be somebody who recently passed on who wants to check in.
Oh, and of course I did mention that there's somebody I knew who passed recently. I hadn't seen them in many, many, many years, but I wondered if I would run into them again in this lifetime, and not physically, apparently.
Well, that's interesting that you pulled that card then, too, because maybe, even though that's a card of family, this was a friend who was very close to you once upon a time.
At that time, they were kind of like a part of my family.
So it's interesting we both pick cards that kind of are relevant to our life at present. And so the next question is going to be...
Magic happens when?
So how will the tarot answer that question? I'm going to hopefully get a different card this time, eh? No, this isn't the one we had. We had the Queen of Wands before.
Yeah. It's a reversed Queen of Cups.
Well, you know, sometimes magic happens in your most unbalanced of moments. Sometimes when your emotions get really out of control, you know, you're kind of feeling real deeply something that... you know, that magic can happen. Suddenly the energies react to that.
I believe that's true, and that I've known personally of at least one person like that, and maybe another two that I had heard about from other people's encounters, of people who literally had some sort of issues. We'll just call them issues. In one case, it might have been just supreme rage over some sense of wrongdoing. And what I heard happen as a result of that was terrifyingly magical, I guess you would say.
Well, you know, it's interesting you say that, because when you think of it, the Queen of Cups reversed, the kind of energies she's putting out are rather on the negative side. And so therefore a lot of anger or those kind of energies can cause some kind of bad mojo to happen, whether it's, you know, whether it's karma that reflects on the person, or whether it's something they can send out to affect another person. It's not necessarily going to be a good thing, but magic can happen.
So when does it happen for me?
You got a person too.
Her
Okay.
corollary,
In a way, yes, indeedy. The King of Cups upright.
her King of Cups upright. The King of Cups upright says that magic happens when people are kind, maybe, when people are beneficent towards each other, when people are wise counselors and try to give information and guidance and compassion to their counsel to people.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a magic that
Well,
happens.
I think that's
being able to help somebody selflessly, and that's an implication of the card too. Selfless help, selfless love.
Well, I also think magic happens too when you can master over your emotions, when you can, when you can achieve that balance and stability in your life, you're more able to create and produce positive things than if you were all raging or upset like the Queen of, or, maybe in sobbing, whatever, out of emotional control like the Queen of Cups reversed is. So, in a sense, when you're more emotionally balanced and in check, you can make a lot of positive things happen in your life.
Sounds
I thought
good.
that was a very good one too.
Let's do another.
So let's tempt fate and do one more. Ah,
And this card that was pulled says, "What lessons can be learned from adversity?"
well, a lot. I don't even know if we need the cards for that one, but yes, we do. Let's see what kind of lessons can be learned. Okay, I'm going to pull one here.
Oh,
You know what? Maybe the lessons that can be learned from adversity is that out of the bowels of defeat, you can achieve victory. Sometimes you have to hit rock bottom before you achieve success. Sometimes for people, they take the hard road to success and they must undergo adversity in order to achieve a victory. And some people, that's just what happens when you overcome adversity.
besides the success connotations of the card, I also feel too that there's these folks that are in the background and they're not in the foreground. They're supporters, they're people behind that person who won the victory. And so that says to me that you can work together and basically challenge adversity and win success.
Gonna pull one?
Yes, I am. So, how was that question phrased again?
What lessons can be learned from adversity?
The Queen of Swords reversed. And I think that sometimes adversity teaches us that we have to make stern lessons sometimes, that we have to sternly decide things, and that sometimes we have to separate some things from each other that maybe we thought should try to be with each other, but perhaps it's due to that adversity. We just need to get them separated. It's like that song from 20 years ago, got to keep them separated. Some things just maybe won't really work. And I don't know if that's a metaphor for the way people get along these days, how it just seems to be a bridge too far. But sometimes that's the lesson of adversity too, is that somebody who is a leader or somebody who is in that position may have to make a hard decision and do something.
Hey, not so fast, Mr. O. I get a little word in edgewise on this one. The Queen of Swords reversed kind of can harden you more towards life, the adversity, and maybe you need to develop like a thicker skin. So the lessons of adversity can be that you develop a thicker skin around yourself. Sometimes that's a positive, sometimes that's a negative. Don't get to the point where you shut the world out and you shut experiences out, you close down because of the experience of adversity. What you want to do is develop a thicker skin so that you can better manage adversity. And that's the question deck for today.
Alrighty, so I will reassemble this deck while we get ready for our next fun segment.
Which will be, I think, because how are we doing time-wise? Would you like me to do my
Reviews?
reviews?
Yes, go ahead and do the reviews.
If you want to talk a bit while I get that together.
Okay, well, just reminding everybody again that this was our broadcast for Sunday, and it's our 7th show, and we were here today from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you bop along our channel somewhere, feel free to ask us a question. We will give you a reading if you show up and ask us. We will do that. We will also be back on our live broadcast next Thursday.
Absolutely.
And that will be from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll have, amongst other features, we will do a little more with our court card conversations. It will also be time for Banshee's reading of the week. And hi there, Smiling Soul. Hello to you.
Hello to you, Smiling Soul.
Thank you for dropping in. Are you here to get a reading from us? Would you like to have a reading? Do you have anything specific you want to ask? Or do you want a general reading?
Or do you just want to just listen to the reviews right now?
Yes. We'll let you take a moment to check in there.
Well, oops, sure, okay.
Okay.
I will, you're saying sure to the reviews, right? Sorry, Smiling
No, they
Soul.
probably want a reading.
Do you want
I
a
asked
reading?
first.
And if you do want a reading, would you like a general one, or do you have something specific you want to ask a question about? Okay. And the dream was about him holding your hand. Okay. So why don't we get the cards? You can get your cards again. And let's shuffle and see if we get any impressions about this. I'm going to let you come up with the reading this time. And I am going to move my cards out of the way. While he's shuffling, I'm going to just let you know I'm doing a review of 3 oracle decks I purchased.
Why don't we do the mini Celtic cross, the one without the arm on it?
Okay, we'll do that. See where things heading. So, this is somebody obviously that you know. Is that correct, Smiling Soul?
Go ahead and shuffle.
Okay. Okay, you do not know him. You've never met. So this is just somebody coming in
It's in a dream.
All right. All right.
Okay. Do you want to cut them?
I shall.
Now, like I said, I'm doing a modified Celtic cross. So the first card is the card that covers you right now, and it may talk about the kind of environment that's around you at the moment. And it is the King of Pentacles, and he's reversed. So this card might be saying to me right now that there's a little bit of concern about financial or materialistic prospects in your life, possibly. No?
I'm relating it to the dream, actually, because
Okay.
that's kind of the question. So I think that I'm looking at this
Thank
character
you.
in the dream. Was this person, can you give me I'm not going to say I'm going to give some physical ideas about him. He may be a little bit dark-haired, maybe, and eyed, I'm not sure. Or he may exhibit the qualities of an earth sign in some ways. This could indicate somebody with that kind of background.
Is he somebody that's a stubborn? Well, this is somebody
It's
you're
about a
dreaming
dream.
about. Yeah.
So I'm just saying that this dream person, if it's indicative of somebody you may meet in your life, they may be somebody who's too materialistic, attached a lot to money and control.
It could be somebody that basically is a more of a needy type person too, or somebody that is not necessarily good with taking care of themselves, their own sense of income or responsibility. So I don't know if that relates to the dream. In the dream, you say you're holding their hand with them, and you feel confused, and it may be because you don't know this person, and this person maybe, if they manifest in your life, it could be that they're not necessarily the right person, but that also too, because they're reaching for your hand, maybe they're needier than you are in the situation.
And if this is indicative of a guide as opposed to a person you're going to meet, I would say that this guide is not somebody that may have your best interests at heart.
Right. It seems like they would rely on you more than you should be able to rely on them.
You can go ahead.
Okay, so the next card crosses the first one, so it represents situations that may help you with that, or they may just be other factors to consider. And we saw the Four of Cups, and it's always read upright, even though it is lying sort of that way. You've had several dreams. Okay, that's very interesting.
This is definitely a card that's kind of a dreaming card, too, as a matter of fact.
It's a card of meditation in a way. It's a card of considering possibilities or choices.
Just take a look at here. We have this card crossing the card of the man we just pulled. And so I think it's definitely, this is saying to me that the King of Pentacles reversed is the card of the man in your dreams, I think. And
Okay.
this is crossing. And so basically, yes, you should be paying. This is some noteworthy dream of some sort. This may be somebody from the spirit realm trying to contact you. I don't know if there's anybody who has been recently deceased in your life or that may want to contact you. But also, we do get things and messages that come to us from a variety of sorts. And I'm not saying that this is necessarily, let's see what the other cards show us and reveal first about this.
And we don't know anything about you, of course, but are you normally the person who does dream a lot? And do you normally also find that you understand what your dreams mean? Or do you feel sometimes that your dreams are just sort of vague and you don't understand what they mean? Think about that before you answer, or as you wish. The next card represents the recent past.
Yes.
And it's the Fool reversed. And so in relationship to the dream, it might feel that sense of
There's a
unease
risk
there.
here. There's
Yeah.
unease and risk. It's definitely picking up your unease, risk, and confusion. The Fool, and I think it's also cautioning you to not take unnecessary risks. I'm wondering too, I don't know maybe if these dreams are happening to you late at night, like into the early morning, or if they're just as you're drifting off to sleep. Because if there's any way that you think you can consciously enter the dream and try to ask questions of this person you're walking with, it's called lucid dreaming of sorts, correct? You might want to try that if you're having these recurring dreams.
Banshee's brought up a very interesting point. I don't know if you're familiar with the works of somebody who wrote more in the 70s, Carlos Castaneda. He wrote about sort of hallucinogenic type experiences, and he was a proponent of cosmic consciousness and having a sense of consciousness that was transcendent. And he talked specifically about lucid dreaming, which is something that Banshee just alluded to.
Yes.
And he felt that when people were having dreams that were puzzling to them and that they felt you could learn more by being able to participate more in the dream, he said, try to make yourself be aware of your hands in your dream and to look at your hands. And of course, you're saying you're dreaming where there's this person who is trying to hold hands with you. So I find that's kind of an interesting thing there, is that maybe you need to let them do that the next time you can. You need to, as you're relaxing and getting ready to fall asleep, maybe you need to plant that idea in your head that when the dream man shows up, you're going to look at your hand, or you're going to look at both of your hands as you hold his hands, because maybe that's where some more level or situation might come forward to you. I don't know. It's an interesting thought there.
Why don't you pull...
I'm going to pull the next card. So yes, learning how to participate in dreaming is a skill that you have to work on.
Absolutely.
It doesn't happen right away. But one of the first steps is being able to understand subconscious symbols, because a lot of dreaming is about symbols that are possibly in a collective sense that many people around the world culturally otherwise have symbols or things appear in their dream that mean the same thing from culture to culture. And apparently the symbol of hands holding hands When you think about it, usually most people, we only contact or have any sort of physicality with a person by touching their hand, by shaking their hands, by holding their hands. So it's a universal symbol for getting to know somebody, being introduced to somebody. Okay, we pulled, and this position relates to,
That's a potential.
or should it go there?
Yeah, that's really what's
Goes
at the
there.
heart of the matter, right?
The heart of the matter. So this is more of a sense of the basic past or things that you've learned from the past.
I think this is an indicative of you're wondering if this could
It's the
be
Ace of Wands.
this could be a positive, growthful development in your life. That this could indicate maybe a relationship starting or forming, or some new growthful enterprise in your life. Maybe you're wondering if it is the start of something, and it's ironic too that we draw the Ace of Wands at the heart of the matter, which of course is this hand in the clouds holding a wand. So maybe perhaps you're wondering if this is indicative of a new beginning.
Right, I'm wondering actually that myself too. I don't have anything really more specific beyond what you said, but somewhere deep inside, I guess, is the sense that there's something you're waiting for to happen or that you are expecting to happen, and it's an opportunity. And maybe that's what the man represents, is the person who could be bringing you that opportunity, but yet you're not necessarily totally feeling like you trust it. But there's a deeper part of yourself that is sort of saying, trust it perhaps. But maybe this is more your wakeful attitude.
I'm still on the fence on whether she should trust it or not. I see signs both ways here. Always grab my hand to hold to walk.
So the dream has some variation. But
Okay.
it follows a general theme, but it may be progressing, is what it sounds like. And I sort of feel that from here too, is like that maybe there is this attempt to somehow get to know you better, or to give you something, that besides, introducing ourselves to each other, we give people things with our hands too. So it's symbolic of that too, receiving something, giving something. Maybe there is something you need to give or to receive in terms of enterprise or a new beginning that you're going through here.
So, Smiling Soul, that dream from the night before, or last night, sounds interesting to me, that you had a friend warning you to be careful. So maybe, like I said, this is still up in the air to me exactly what's going on here. Let's draw the next card, the potential future.
And it's the Hanged Man. This is the potential future?
I sense with the Hanged Man that there is some compromises or sacrifices that are needed here. Maybe this is indicating to me that, again, maybe I'm leaning Oberon's way right now, that you may have to trust and let yourself hang with this dream. In other words, see where this dream is going to take you. In other words, maybe you do have to take it that step further to get to the resolution sometime in the future here when you're feeling more comfortable doing so. That's what I think what the Hangman means here.
Well, I don't want to be too challenging, but I'm wondering if maybe there's something in your life that you are sort of feeling you're done with that and you need to let that go. Maybe it's just some activity you do, or maybe it's some feeling you have about something, and maybe you need to let that go, or maybe you've considered that. And so these dreams and some of the impressions we're getting here are trying to move you into that direction of deciding that. And once again, that's saying that possibly the best future situation is to let that go. But maybe there is also saying too that when you do that, there's something you learn or something that you're able to accept that maybe is helpful too. And so if there is something that you've been avoiding in a way, you may want to think about that. You might have to do some meditation or do some more introspection with the cards.
Let's do the final card, because
Okay. Let's just read your last comment.
good. All right, final. Whoa.
Well, this is interesting.
It is.
It's the Two of Cups, and in a general way, it represents harmony in a relationship. It doesn't necessarily mean an emotional relationship,
But
but
it
it could
could.
be.
Absolutely could be, because the
And
cups are
I've
emotion.
mostly been reading between the lines here, so I felt that there wasn't really relationships were part of the overall perspective, like what you are really concerned with. You're concerned with the dream and what it might mean to you, but I didn't really get a relationship in the picture. You only mentioned that one of your friends appears in the dream and tries to tell you to not be going with that fellow.
Hold that card up to the camera again, because I want Smiling Soul to see this. And Smiling Soul, basically, do you see the man's hand is reaching over to the woman's there, like he wants to grab her hand? And so this is showing it in the future. I do think this is positive. And you know, though you've had some confusions and doubts by the way these cards have played out, I would say you, in your dream, you should let it happen and see where it takes you. And it could also be indicative of the fact that maybe some new partnership or something along those lines is going to happen in your life. There's a connecting that seems to be happening here. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, between people. It could be in some other areas of your life as well.
I'm going to let you ask that question in a moment, but I'm going to ask you a question, or I'm just going to theorize a question
Hi,
here.
Claudia D. We will get to you in a moment.
Okay, is it possible that some of the rocky situation was involving breaking up in a relationship or distancing yourself from a situation, and that some of what this implied was that the dream is also about maybe your sense of not feeling secure about that, and or feeling like maybe that person makes you feel guilty, or maybe there's something that makes you feel like you have to do that but you don't really want to, and there's something really better for you if you just move beyond that. That's what I'm thinking.
Also, just to end this, you know, and that is interesting what you said there about love, and that the last thing, the White House, everything was white. This all sounds much more positive to me. So I think that these dreams are indicative of something positive happening for you, and I would just run with it. And I want to say here that I just drew a couple of Lenormand cards for you. They are the Lily and the Heart. And I don't know what else I could say about that, but that it does mean long-term love or harmony, possibly in a relationship, or maybe, like you said, you just moved into a better situation and you're happy there and content. It could be a job. It could be just some situation that brings you long-term, lasting contentment and a feeling of love and warmth. So I hope that's helped you.
Yeah, I hope so too. And I'm amazed at some of the detail you've given us on the dreams, because I think dreaming is really special. And I wish I could dream more. So trust your dreams to some degree. Come back and let us know how things are going.
Yeah,
Maybe
absolutely.
ask a follow-up question. We're going to move on to another person now who showed up and who would like to have a reading.
Hi, Claudia D. Do you have a particular question in mind? Oh, is it the person that I wrote recently, Smiling Soul, is asking? It is possible. It is somebody you already know in your life. I will say that, Smiling Soul.
Okay, I'm going to do a quick reading
and I'll
for
leave
that.
it at that. Okay, Katharina messaged me out of the blue today. Can you tell me what her intentions are and if I can trust her? We used to be friends before I moved out of the city I studied in.
Didn't expect that message either. Okay.
All right.
So it's a similar question, or a twofold question. You're wondering if you can trust. You're very welcome, Smiling Soul. Thank you, and visit us again. Whoops. Okay, I want you to shuffle now.
Okay. I am getting a Lenormand ready for this one as well, as I think it will call for that.
So what
How do you have anything in mind for this particular question?
maybe the general, the regular way I do the 3 card, the general environment, and then the contrary and not contrary things.
Yes, I think that.
It's a 3 card reading that is sort of good for overviews of a question with some amount of specificness about it. It may represent the environment around you, but then it also represents cut them for me, or I'll cut them and you can
Yeah.
come back. But it also represents contrary factors that may
forgot
be
to
involved,
cut
a
'em.
good thing, a bad thing, that kind of thing. It's up for us to interpret how that works. So the first card is the Chariot. Okay, so that's the card that's covering you now in this situation here. So
Was there some kind of immediate need that Katerina had for contacting you that you could think of? It seems like this was a hasty decision on her part, I would say.
I get the feeling she needs you to do a big favor for her, and it might help with her ambition, her sense of trying to get ahead. It's not that she's using you per se, but she possibly recognizes that there is something you can really do for her, and that's what she's hoping to do, is reestablish that connection with you and go with that. What else are you saying there? So I don't necessarily think that you have to distrust her.
Well,
but
at
like
this
I
point,
think
let's see
it's
what
sort of
else.
opportunistic there.
Well, it looks as though.
We have for the next card the 4 of Swords reversed, and this is
What position is that?
well, it's up for us to decide something that could be good or bad about the situation.
I'm thinking that it's positive in that maybe this person wants to move beyond where things were left before.
They're definitely returning to your life, or that's their intention. That's what I see with Katharina, is that she definitely wants to be more involved in your life, however that is. I mean, if it was just mostly an online life, she's back again, or she knew you better than that.
It's really interesting that you say that, Claudie, about moving, because the Chariot is also a card about moving and movement.
Right, the Chariot, which was your first card, I did that more in terms of what Katharina wants from you, that she has an ambition, but it could also be saying that right now this environment around you is really fostering the idea of movement for yourself. The movement of the Chariot could imply moving to another location. It could also just define the ambition of taking on new challenges, new jobs, situations like that.
And also, the Four of Swords reversed is a return to activity after a rest or a change of some sort. You kind of maybe stepped away because of, maybe things you've had to take care of.
So, right, it's not necessarily Katharina who left your life and is trying to return. Maybe it's also a sense of you returning to more involvement in your life.
Well, right. Or the fact that, there is new opportunities now, and you're also wondering how, to maybe Katharina could or could not fit into what your plans are for the present. I sense that this is a movement away from some things, from your usual routine.
Oh dear.
Oh yeah, that's no fun.
Okay,
I
so the
hear
next
ya.
card is the Page of Wands reversed.
The narcissist, no. Not really.
Not really.
No, not really.
But it is saying possibly that
This message, this could be about the message from Katrina.
Yeah.
What would you say about that?
Well, I'm wondering if it's just not that it's a bad message, but maybe it's just not really conveying enough. Like maybe there's just more left unsaid. It's an incomplete message. Like it's not really expressing what you think or would believe is the full intent of Katharina. Like maybe you're expecting her to be more upfront with what it is she really wants. You mentioned that she wants you to visit, but maybe you're thinking there's something unspoken there.
I feel that she did this again. This kind of runs into the Chariot card with me again, in that this message was done with a lot of haste and maybe not with a lot of forethought. Or maybe it's, on the other hand, the only other thing I can see here is that this person may need something in a hurry. And so they're looking
That's
for
true,
something
too,
from
yeah.
you in a hurry. I'm going to see, as I draw a couple Lenormand cards here, if there's any further information. I don't know if this has to do with a man at all, but a man came up in my Lenormand, the gentleman card, and the birds card. So, which is really interesting to me because the birds is a card of news, but it could also border on gossip. Trying to get people involved in gossip and spreading rumors and things like that. And a man could be at the heart of this in some fashion. Does this make sense to you in any way?
She wants to know if we could find out what Katharina needs. We can do that too. We can try.
We can try.
Where's your cards at?
She knew about the narcissist. Okay. You want my cards?
Yes, please.
Okay. Here.
Okay, go ahead and continue the reading what you were doing.
I will. Oh, okay. She might be fishing for information then, which falls in line with the birds, the gossip card, that I
true.
pulled there. I do love sometimes throwing out a Lenormand or two. Oh, really? So she's trying to maybe set you up with him.
Well, it seems to me like she wanted to have some amount of distance, but some amount of control in the situation. And the narcissist is a greedy person, perhaps, or selfish.
Selfish.
That's obvious, I guess. You don't need me for that necessarily. But I also feel, too, that they have a glacial pace when it comes to almost anything. And so part of what they do is they try to really slow everything down to suit their sense of what the pace is about. But I also feel, too, that maybe they prevented you from exploiting an opportunity that you wanted in some way, too, that they slowed you down or they counseled you to not get involved with that.
Does she kind of feel that maybe she owes you something or she's doing this for some reason? Because it seems to me here she's either carrying some guilt or feels burdened in some way. There's some obstacles to surmount. That's the Lenormand card I drew, the mountains, and just the impression that I'm getting from that card.
So I guess you're wanting to know if Katharina is trying to maybe get you back with the narcissist, or is she hoping that something else happens for herself with them?
I think what her intentions are, and I'm going to say, I think partially, let's see what you say here, could be because she made me feel bad and connected me with the narcissist. So, but she still wants you with him, so that's interesting. Or is this somebody else now?
Should I ask a yes or no, basically?
No, because we're still trying to figure out the nitty-gritty. I personally feel the reason she contacted you is because she's trying to make this right in some way. She's trying to unburden herself in some way. Either she rightfully or wrongfully feels she owes it to you or something like that.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I don't see anything
Do you
beyond
want to pull
that.
a card to see if you can see if it indicates anything else about that?
Her intentions, whether or not
Yeah.
she's just trying to get you back with that person or somehow relieve herself of the guilt. Well,
Oh, wow.
well,
That goes right into my mountain card.
well, not only that, but it's almost exactly what you said. It's
Yeah.
the Ten of Wands reversed. And the Ten of Wands reverse talks about being able to shift a burden. So the question is she shifting the burden of guilt or something like that?
Well, is she shifting this man on you to alleviate herself from him? Or like I'd said with the mountain card, is she just trying to alleviate some type of guilt she feels? She's trying to get that off her shoulders. When the card is reversed, it's somebody who's had enough of the guilt or remorse or the burdens that they feel in their life. And so maybe that's the reason she did this. She felt the need to do this.
I mean, maybe this card is counsel for you too, that you need to relieve yourself of this burden, and you probably should just say no and move on somewhere else. And so I'm wondering if that's the message, and I'm pulling another card.
Yep.
And I pulled the Nine of Pentacles. And the Nine of Pentacles is a person who is confident in their own life. And it isn't necessarily indicating a life that's solitary, but it's just saying you are comfortable wherever you are at. You're comfortable with yourself and your surroundings. And your surroundings could include, other people, but they don't have to.
Well, on the other hand, maybe this is telling you in this circumstance and considering what you know about this person, this narcissist, that maybe you are better off, maintaining distance and being alone from that. In other words, it would be more healthy for you if you steered clear of the narcissist. And it's nice that maybe she feels she has to make amends in some way. Maybe you should just leave it at that, and you've moved and you're in a better place right now. So let her be. You do say she knows the lessons about karma, so it might be that she's trying to right a wrong in her own way, even though it might not be right for you. And her mom is a tarot reader, as you said, too. That's interesting. So I wonder what kind of advice she's getting from mom. Could you find out if she knows that he is a narcissistic bad guy? Well, I don't know.
Let me do the yes or no.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so the question is, does Katrina know that this fellow is a narcissist? And I'm going to do my patented yes or no, which will either say yes, no, or maybe. Okay, well, let's see if she knew the whole time. Do you want to shuffle?
I sure will. I want to get my hands on this one.
I'd like to thank everybody that dropped in for a reading. We had several readings today.
Very
so that
active,
was
and we
really
love it. Even if we don't
awesome.
get to our regular programming.
And
That
our
might
middle
mean,
reading, she said, Smiling Soul, she said, that person said that our cat was very cute.
We appreciate that as well. Our cats are, hopefully you'll be able to see more than one, but I have a feeling that Sunny is going to dominate.
Thank you so much.
Do you want me to cut? Or
Yes,
you?
go ahead and cut. And
Yeah,
then,
you cut the last few times, so.
We wouldn't be great if we didn't feel good about what we're doing, and we feel good when we're reading cards for people and trying to help them. We don't admit to being perfect or the best card readers, but when you say things like that, that makes us feel really good. So I'm going to do my yes or no, and the question was basically, did Katrina know that this guy was a narcissist? And then we'll see if we can glean that other information there. Oh, wow.
Yeah, see, that might not mean anything in the end. We'll be ready in 1 minute with the answer. That's interesting that came up again, yes. Sorry to keep you in suspense. Hang tight.
We're in suspense too. Did I do this right? I think I might have
Count them and
one
just be
extra.
sure. My guess is that if he did do it right, he's looking for a certain number of cards he has to count, and we're looking for a certain number of aces that pop up in this reading.
Yes.
My answer is that it's a very possibly no, that they did not know all along the narcissistic tendencies thereof, and it really does show that with this card here. I think the Nine of Wands reversed is one of the cards that you received, and the Nine of Wands reversed indicates somebody who may not be prepared for battle, and because of that, or maybe for certain circumstances or people that they encounter, and so they don't know how to react in a positive manner to, to get the upper hand or achieve success. And the card came up again, the Ten of Wands reversed. And the Ten of Wands reversed, of course, indicates this moving a burden on.
Freedom.
And I do think it has something to do with guilt or oppression in some way. But I don't think this person was really aware that this person, this gentleman was a narcissist.
Yeah, I don't believe that either. I mean, maybe she might have seen something there, but it wasn't a definitive feeling for her. And that to some degree, I would say that she felt...
Oh, so it is possible because she wasn't prepared or knew that this person was a narcissist that she went ahead and tried to absolve her guilt and, of course, try to get you together with him.
Yeah, but it really was about you getting out of that situation. I think that's what the Ten of Wands reversed is you freeing yourself. And I think that the other aspect was that maybe there was a sense that it was going to be hard for you to do that, and you just had to really figure out how to get there. And maybe Katharina knew some of this. It's not totally clear to me that she knew.
No, I don't think she knew. I think the likelihood is no, but I do think that
she might have realized later.
From what you're saying here, that because they didn't know, they probably felt that you should stay in that relationship longer. Maybe they thought they were looking out for your best interests, and maybe now if they're starting to realize that something was wrong, they're coming to terms with that. Maybe that, in a sense, is what the Ten of Wands is about.
Could be. It is sort of a sense of freedom of finding your way somehow.
Well, I do hope this helped you. And yeah, it's possible you all didn't know. And, it only takes the experience of time to find some of these things out. I think that how things are going to play, because it also seemed to be a spiritual connection between him and I. We can have spiritual connections with people for a number of reasons, and not all of them are positive ones. And, there could be karma from past lives playing out. There can be all kinds of things to be aware of there.
You mentioned that karma, and maybe that's the thing, is that maybe there is a karmic level where maybe some connection between you and that person existed, and maybe they felt that they were going to get you to help them, but it wasn't within your karma at this moment to do that. It may be in the future, or maybe it won't be.
I just popped a Lenormand card. I got the house card. It's just a house. You don't if you want to show it. And I just want to say that I think your move is probably very good for you. I think you are going to be very content there. That's what this is showing, that maybe for now, maybe you should focus on your surroundings and yourself, like the Nine of Pentacles seem to indicate, and let some of this stuff go.
Okay, so you want to know, I guess, what was the nature of this connection between you and him?
No, why you had to go through it?
Do you have an idea for a reading there, or?
No, but I'm going to draw two cards and see if I come up with some connection here. It does sound something like more for the tarot, but let me just try this. Well, I think you had to go through this because...
That's interesting.
Yeah, I know, it is. The dog is a friend. Your friend card came up. Katerina was, or you considered her a friend, correct? And the letter again.
It's usually about loyalty too. So whether that's your loyalty. Again,
and I think it was basically to try to, for some reason, bring you back to a sense of hope in your life. I know this is crazy, but maybe because this narcissist came into your life, You had to realize that there's more to life than this. You realized what you had to do, what you were getting there, and that you had to, that there was so much more, that you deserve in life than that. And I think you just had to go through that experience maybe to realize that.
Okay, with tarot, there are no true absolutes. I can pull a card and say, oh, this is absolutely what this is, but it may not be really true. It may just be true at this time, or it may be an idea of what is most likely true. So your basic question about whether there is something that connects you and Vincent, I'm going to try to see if there is a karma there and what that karma is. So I'm thinking about Vincent.
Well, stars are also about spiritual aspirations and whatnot as well. You got it reversed?
I did have it reversed.
So what was this about?
What their connection is,
their
or if there
connection
is a
is.
connection. I'm a little stymied here.
I'm not. I think.
Go ahead.
Well, I think your connection.
It's the Empress reversed.
Yeah, I think your connection is not a solid one with this person. Why? I think it's not a creative one. It's not one that is growthful. It is one that to me would be more negative. But perhaps, again, it's like I said, you had to go through that experience because you had that lesson to learn. You had to learn what is of value in your life and what makes you flourish and grow. And connections with a person like Vincent were not the right ones.
Well, I get a feeling that you lost something with him. I'm not sure if it was something you had together or that he caused you to lose or that you somehow realized, but I feel like you lost something with him. And maybe it was that sense of not being spiritual. So when you lost that, then you found a spirituality that you indicate, that somehow he made you realize something was missing or not present in your life, and it was a big thing.
Well, we have about 10 minutes left, so I hope that has helped you with your questions, and we look forward to seeing you again, Claudie D. So do feel free to check out our live streams.
Let us
in the
know. We're going
future.
to try to wrap up our show now. That was really intense. I mean, I hope we were able to give you some ideas there to help you. That was a pretty intense reading.
Yeah, and are we going to draw? Maybe we should go right on to draw our tarot for tomorrow.
Yes.
So
You're welcome.
So at our live streams, we do our tarot for tomorrow reading for the next day, and then we post them on Facebook. We'll do a little write-up on our Facebook page. So it's just a one-card reading that, I think will relate to a lot of people, or they can find some relationship to this card in their life. And if not, I'm sure it will resonate with some in our audience.
If you're on Facebook, you can just look for us as TFT Tarot for Today.
Oh, it's right there on the screen.
There it is, right there. But, I
Thanks
just
to our
love to
producer.
hear my dulcet tones ringing out and telling people
Focus on tomorrow. Focus on tomorrow.
Focus on tomorrow.
Oh, the Annie musical. Tomorrow.
No one knows what tomorrow will bring.
Oh, I did say I wouldn't sing anymore on the live stream. I have to stick with
I did not.
Okay. Let me try.
What will tomorrow bring, Sunman? What will it bring?
Oops.
So this reading will be posted later on the Facebook site.
I think I said that.
We'll let it serve as a guide for your actions or feelings or whatever tomorrow.
Also, we are on Twitter, and you can see us there. We do a little tweet for tomorrow, which is just basically a portion of our Facebook page. So really, you get the nitty-gritty on our Facebook page, but there will be other tweets and posts on Twitter as well.
And here's our card for tomorrow. That card is
Oh,
the Eight of Pentacles reversed.
What a way to start a Monday. Well, just put your best foot forward. I know it's hard. I know we all go into work dragging on a Monday. And this card is indicative of not being at your best tomorrow as far as, your work and your craftsmanship goes. I think that, you'll have to put out just a little extra effort to get yourself motivated and going. Have that extra cup of coffee in the morning if you need it.
I'm thinking it's actually also possible that some people may actually receive some sort of notification that some project they worked on or some work they're responsible for was not pleasing as well too, that there is a sense maybe that somebody will actually say something to you like
The dreaded meeting with the boss.
you could have done a little bit more, or how come you didn't do this kind of thing. I don't think it's super dramatic. I think it's just sort of a notification that somebody will say, hey, we expected a little bit more.
I'm thinking it's definitely a work vibe for tomorrow. There are other things that this could apply for, but to me, it's definitely work oriented more than, let's say, financial matters.
I also have a gleaning
lines.
too that if maybe somebody out there was expecting to get a little bump up, not maybe a promotion or maybe a bump up in pay, maybe there's a delay or a problem with that.
Well, I think it's more likely what you said, that dreaded, you did not do the job we expected you to do sort of talk.
We are not amused.
No. So I'm dreading my Monday already thinking about that.
That was
but
my Queen Victoria imitation.
hopefully we'll all survive it. And, tomorrow the moon is going to be in the emotional sign of Cancer. So, don't take it too hard, whatever bad news you get here, because, it's not worth it. It's not worth don't over emotionalize it. Don't over, how should I say, emotionally react, because that might not look good.
Yeah, I can't say too much about that either in terms of that. I think that there's a sense of this experience maybe grounding you a little bit, like just sort of like bringing you down to reality. But don't use that as an opportunity to enact emotionally if you really feel you've been hurt or damaged. You just need to kind of suck it up a little bit, maybe.
Well, and let's just say, with somebody, it's never fun having somebody look over your shoulder, or that feeling of that, they're watching me, they're criticizing me. There's nothing like that to kind of sometimes spur you back into, I've got to get my, proverbial derriere together, my shit together, and do the work, do the job, that they're paying me for. So that's basically it, I think, with that card. I think I've beaten that dead horse.
You have.
Sorry
and
to start us off on a little bit of a downer note, but as we just tell it like it is here at Tarot for Today, we're not going to sugarcoat anything. We're going to, of course, we'll try to tell you how to cope with the bad, like I did here, and, get through it. We'll all go through the ups and downs of life. Yes. So
What would
anyway,
boss do?
thank you for joining us today,
I
everybody in
want to
our
personally
chat.
take Angela, Smiling Soul, and of course Claudie D, our guest today who asked questions. It was
And for
really
those of
fun.
you who maybe did not speak up in the chat, maybe we'll hear from you next time. And by all means, for those of you who were here, spread the word. Have people come. We're here on Sundays and Thursdays. And next week, I will probably try to get to my reviews. There are some fun oracles that I received recently that are real simple for people to use and do. And I'd love to go over them with you. One is related to the music world, one is related to cats, one of our favorite things, and one is related to the art world. And I can almost see how these decks could actually work together in a reading, so I'd like to share that with you next time.
That's an interesting concept because I've mentioned that before too, that people, the way they do readings, sometimes they use more than one deck to actually do that. So very fascinating. So, and I'm sure we can get around to some of the other things that we want to get around to, our discussion about other uses for tarot cards besides divination.
Yes. And, sometimes too, if we start spending more time on readings in our live stream, I'm sure we're going to be sending out some more videos, and they won't necessarily be all from the live stream. We're thinking of creating some new content videos, so we'll be sharing some knowledge and information with you there as well. So subscribe to our channel where you can find all of this stuff.
Yes, I'm hoping to have 2 special meditations coming up in the next couple of months. One will be for the fall equinox, where we'll talk about, the harvest times and what we can manifest in our lives, as well as plant for the future. And then also, too, we will do one for Halloween, our special Halloween
yeah.
show. Who knows what will happen?
You know what? I think I'll show a cool tarot game for fall equinox.
Really?
Do you remember the tarot game about the falling leaves?
Yes.
I don't know if we'll be able to, well, we'll sort of be able to show it on camera, but I think that's a fun one. So I will definitely demonstrate it here when we get close to the fall equinox.
Absolutely.
So those are some things you can look forward to. So I guess we're on our last minute or so, so I'd like to just sign off and say thanks again to everybody, and we'll see you on Thursday.
May your
Have a
star
good week
be at
ahead.
peace.
Did I drown out your...
Hopefully.
Sorry. Sorry. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.